Alright, well, we've learned about arithmetic sequences, where you have to add or subtract a certain number to get from one term to the next. Today we're going to talk about geometric sequences, where you have to multiply by a certain number to get from one term to the next. So a sequence such that for all the values there is a constant r, such that when you take the previous term and divide by the, or take the next term and divide by the previous term, that'll give you your r value. That is called a geometric sequence. So instead of subtracting the second term and the first term, now you're going to be dividing, and you'll see when you divide you get the same result, and that's called your r value. That constant r, instead of calling a common difference, is the common ratio. The formula for a geometric sequence is an equals a1 r to the n minus 1 power. Determine if each sequence is geometric. If it is, find r. If not, explain why. I'm going to leave you guys with the first two problems because those are easier to do. I'm going to do the other two with you at this point. So, to figure out if it's geometric or not, what you do is you take the second term and divide by the first term. 1/3 divided by 1 is 1/3. Then you check it. You take the third term and divide by the second term. 1/9 divided by a third is 1/3. Then you take the next term, 1/27, and divide by the previous term, 1/9, and you get 1/3 as well. Therefore, since it is the same from one term to the next, you will say it's geometric. And your r value is equal to 1/3. Let's look at our next one. Take the second term and divide by the first term. A squared divided by a is a. Take the third term and divide by the second term. A cubed divided by a squared is also a. And then a4 divided by a3 is going to be a as well. Therefore, since it's a for all of them, it is geometric. And your r value is equal to a. These next two, or those first two, you can try at this point. Alright, now moving on. I am not going to do all of these problems. Some of them are more difficult than we would see on a Regents exam. Write the first 5 terms of the geometric sequence given the following information. Then find the equation for the sequence. Okay? So, the first 5 terms. It says the first term is 1 and r is 6. So the r tells me what I need to multiply by to get from one term to the next. So a2 is going to be 1 times 6, which is 6. The third term is going to be 6 times 6, which is 36. The fourth term is going to be 36 times 6, which is 216. And the fifth term is going to be 216 times 6, which is 1296. Therefore, that's our 5 terms. Our formula is going to be from the top an equals a1, which is 1, times your r value, which is 6, to the n minus 1. I'm going to have you guys try this one. I will start it for you. You need to find your r value first. The way you find your r value, you take the second term and divide by the first term, so it's a -4. Now this problem has an r value and an a1, just like the previous one did, so you can go from there, find the rest of your terms, and come up with a formula. Let me see what other ones we have here that I think aren't going to be too bad. Well, let's not worry about doing this problem ever. And also, let's not worry about doing this problem. Let's look at this other problem together. It says the second term is 2 and the fourth term is 8. So if I go and try to list my terms. My second term is a 2, my fourth term is an 8. I have to figure out how to get from one term to the next. So, hopefully, I'm hoping you can see this one's not too bad. Multiply by 2, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm timesing by 2 to get from one term to the next. Therefore, my R value is a 2. Now, my first 5 terms, I actually almost have them already. 1, 2, 4, 8. And the next one, just take 8 times 2, is 16. My formula will be AN equals A1, which is 1, times R of 2 to the n minus 1. Let's look at this next one. What is the 10th term of the geometric sequence given that information? Well, let's start by finding our R value. Taking the second term and dividing by the first term, 0.5 divided by 0.25 is 2. With that R value, I can come up with a formula. AN equals A1, which is 0.25, times my R value, 2, to the n minus 1. We want to find the 10th term, so that means the n is going to be a 10. So it's going to be 0.25 times 2 to the 9th. 2 to the 9th times 0.25 is equal to 128. And also at this point I am going to skip this problem, and we'll work on that type of problem more when we get to the classwork tomorrow.